Design of IIR filter using impulse invariance technique. So now we are dealing with the design of digital filters. How we are designing? First we have designed an analog filter, and now we are converting that analog filter using different techniques into a digital filter. There are mainly four methods. The first one is approximation of derivatives. Second one is impulse invariance technique. Third one is bilinear transformation, and the last one is matched Z transform technique. So today we are going to deal with the impulse invariance technique. Okay. In this case, the unit impulse response h of n of a digital filter as the sampled version of impulse response of an analog filter. We are having an analog filter, its impulse response is sampled, we will get the unit impulse response h of n of a digital filter. Okay, so first we are considering the Z transform of infinite impulse response, that is h of z is equal to sigma n is equal to 0 to infinity h of n z raised to minus n. Okay, so this is our Z transform of our infinite impulse response h of n. Now we are substituting the value of z is equal to e raised to st. So how will our equation will change? Sigma n is equal to 0 to infinity h of n into, instead of z we are substituting e raised to st. So e raised to minus stn. Okay. Now we are considering the mapping of points from S plane to Z plane. In the case of impulse invariance techniques, what we are doing is that we are mapping the poles from S plane to Z plane. Okay, so the next task is to map points from S plane to Z plane. So we know Z is equal to what? E raised to st. Okay, and we are substituting the S is equal to sigma plus j omega. That is Z is equal to e raised to, what is that? Z is equal to e raised to st. We are substituting S is equal to sigma plus j omega. So substitute this value of S in this equation. So Z will be equal to e raised to sigma plus j omega into t. Okay, so we are dividing this into e raised to sigma t into e raised to j omega t. Okay, now we are expressing the complex variable z in the polar form, that is z is equal to r into e raised to j omega. Okay, now consider this equation 3 and 4. Both the left hand side are z term, so we are equating this equation with this, that is r e raised to j omega will be equal to e raised to sigma t into e raised to j omega t. Okay, which gives r is equal to e raised to sigma t and omega is equal to, that is this part, e raised to j omega is equal to e raised to j omega t. That means this value omega will be equal to this omega t. Okay, so while we are mapping a pole from S plane to Z plane, this e raised to j omega t, okay, that will gives the value of radius in the Z plane, and this value omega t, this is the angle. This represents the angle and this represents the magnitude. Okay, while we are mapping an analog pole in the S plane to a digital pole in the Z plane, this value represents the magnitude and this value represents the angle. Okay, e raised to sigma t represents the magnitude and omega t represents the angle in the Z plane. Okay, that is analog pole is mapped to a place in the Z plane of magnitude e raised to sigma t and angle of omega t. That's what I told now. Here I have written a note here, that is the real part of the analog pole determines the radius of the Z plane pole. Okay, the real part, that is e raised to sigma t, that part represents the that will find the radius of the z plane pole, and the second part, the imaginary part of the analog pole, represents the angle of the digital pole. Okay, the imaginary part of the analog pole will find the angle of the digital pole, and the real part of the analog pole determines the radius of the z plane pole. Okay, here there are three cases. That means when there is a pole on the j omega axis, how will we map? Okay, then if the pole is on the left hand side of the s plane, how will we map? And if a pole is on the right hand side, how will we map in the z plane? So first we are considering pole is on the j omega axis. Okay, j omega axis means here we are considering sigma as equal to 0. Okay, the real part sigma value we have taken it as 0. So what is the value of radius? Radius is equal to e raised to j omega. So e raised to sigma t. Okay, here we considered sigma value is equal to 0. So radius is equal to e raised to 0. That means e raised to 0 is equal to 1. So this radius value, we will get the radius as 1. Okay, so while we are mapping for value sigma is equal to 0, in the z plane we will be getting a unit circle. Okay, unit circle means what? A circle of radius 1. So if there is a pole on the j omega axis, we are taking the sigma value is equal to 0. We know that r e raised to j omega will be equal to e raised to sigma t into e raised to j omega t. That means r value is equal to e raised to sigma t. Here we considered sigma is equal to 0. So r is equal to 1. So that is the analog pole mapped to the z plane at a radius r is equal to 1, and we will be getting a unit circle. So in this case there is no sigma value. Sigma value there is we have taken it as 0. So we are considering a pole here and a pole here. These two poles are separated by an angle omega. Okay, while we are mapping, we will be getting a circle. Okay, and these poles are on the circle. Okay, on the circle, which is having a radius of 1. Okay, that is the case 1. Now this is the s plane, this is the z plane. An analog pole in the s plane is mapped to the digital pole in the z plane. If the pole is on the imaginary axis and there is no sigma value is equal to 0, we will be getting a digital pole on the circle which is having a radius of 1. Okay, now the next is we are considering the second case, that is if there is a pole is on the left half of the s plane. On the left half of the s plane means this is the s plane. On the left half of the s plane means that is poles are here. This side the sigma value will be negative, that is less than 0. That is where the sigma value will be less than 0. So what will be the value of radius? R is equal to e raised to sigma t, where we know that the sigma value, the pole is on the left hand side, the sigma value will be less than 0. Okay, sigma value will be less than 0. So e raised to sigma value will be less than 1. So the radius will be less than 1. So the poles are mapped inside the unit circle. Okay, when we consider the sigma value less than 0, we will be getting r value will be less than 1 since sigma value is less than 0. So we will be getting a pole, a digital pole inside the circle in the z plane. Okay, when we know that we have already studied that if there is a pole is on the left hand side, that is a stable pole. If a pole is on the right hand side of the s plane, that is an unstable pole. So here we consider a pole is on the left hand side of the S-plane, that is a stable pole. So while we mapped, we will be getting a digital pole inside the circle in the Z-plane. So it preserves the stability. In impulse invariant technique, it preserves the stability of the filter. The third case is poles are in the right half of the S-plane. Okay. While we are mapping a digital pole, we will be getting a digital pole outside the unit circle. How? That is, R is equal to e raised to sigma t. We know that if there is a pole is on the right hand side, the sigma value will be greater than 0. Okay, when the sigma value will be greater than 0, the R value will become e raised to sigma t, that will be greater than 1. So while we map a pole to the Z plane, we will be getting a digital pole outside the unit circle. That means we will be getting an unstable pole. Okay, 3 cases when there is a pole is on the j omega axis, we will be getting a unit circle in the Z plane. If there is a poles on the left half of the S plane, the digital poles are inside the circle. If there is a poles on the right half plane of the S plane, the poles are placed outside the unit circle. Okay. In this case, there is a disadvantage. In the impulse invariant technique, there is a disadvantage that is known as aliasing technique. Aliasing means many points in the S plane map to a single point in the Z plane. That means, suppose we consider 2 poles in the S plane with the identical real parts, but their imaginary part differ by 2 pi by t. Okay, we are having 2 poles which is having same real part, but only the difference in the imaginary part, and that too imaginary part differs by 2 pi by t. Okay, so first I considered first pole sigma plus j omega. Okay, and I am considering a second pole S2 is equal to sigma plus j omega plus 2 pi by t. So 2 poles, the real parts are equal, sigma sigma. Only there is a difference in the imaginary part which is differ by 2 pi by t. Okay, so while we are expanding, Z1 is equal to e raised to S1 of t, which is equal to S value. What is the value of S? Sigma plus j omega t. That is e raised to sigma plus j omega into t. That is e raised to sigma t into e raised to j omega t. This is the first equation. Then second equation, Z2 is equal to e raised to S2 of t, which is equal to e raised to expanding S2. What is the value of S? Sigma plus j omega. Okay. Sigma plus j, S in the value is sigma plus j omega plus 2 pi by t. J omega plus 2 pi by t. So while we are expanding this, we will be getting e raised to sigma t into e raised to j omega t into e raised to j 2 pi. We know e raised to j 2 pi value is equal to what? So these two values, the final value will be getting e raised to sigma t into e raised to j omega t. Here also we will be getting e raised to sigma t into e raised to j omega t. So for different poles, we will be getting same pole in the digital pole in the Z plane. That effect is called as aliasing technique. That means many points in the S plane maps to a single point in the Z plane. That disadvantage is known as aliasing effect. Normally, the poles which is separated by that means imaginary part differ by 2 pi by t, the same effect will be happening. That means imaginary part greater than pi by t or less than minus pi by t cause aliasing. In this case, if this is the case, this is the pi by t. If this is minus pi by t, for all the poles above this area and above minus pi by t, below minus pi by t, the aliasing effect will be happening. Only in this area, which is we are calling it as primary strip, no aliasing effect will be happening. Okay, that means within this minus pi by t and pi by t, no aliasing will happen. Outside this area, aliasing will take place. That is the disadvantage of impulse invariance technique. Okay. Now, let HA of S is the system function of an analog filter. This is the analog filter transfer function, that is HA of S is equal to sigma k is equal to 1 to n Ck by S minus Pk, where Pk represents the poles and Ck represents the coefficients in the partial fraction expansion. Taking the inverse Laplace transform of this equation, HA of t is equal to sigma k is equal to 1 to n Ck. ഇതിൻ്റെ ഇൻവേഴ്സ് ലാപ്ലാസ് എടുക്കുമ്പോൾ എന്തോരും e raised to pkt. അല്ലേ? Now we are sampling periodically at t is equal to nt. That means h of n will be is equal to ha of nt. That is h of n is equal to ha of nt will be equal to sigma k is equal to 1 to n ck into e raised to pk. Instead of t, we are substituting it as nt, capital T. Sampling time കൂടെ നമ്മൾ ഇൻക്ലൂഡ് ചെയ്തിട്ട് കാണിക്കണം. ദാറ്റ് ഇസ് എച്ച് ഓഫ് എൻ ഇസ് ഈക്വൽ ടു സിഗ്മ കെ ഇസ് ഈക്വൽ ടു 1 to n സി കെ ഇ റേസ് ടു പി കെ എൻ ടി. ഓക്കെ, സബ്സ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂട്ട് ദിസ് വാല്യൂ ഇൻ ദിസ് ഇക്വേഷൻ. That is h of z is equal to sigma n is equal to 0 to infinity h of n z raised to minus n. So substitute the value of h of n, this value in this equation, h of z equation will be getting sigma k is equal to 1 to n, we are taking this ck outside, and sigma n is equal to 0 to infinity e raised to pkt z inverse, taking the n outside. Okay, so we are getting an equation like this: sigma k is equal to 1 to n ck 1 minus e raised to pkt z raised to minus 1. Okay. So, we know HA of S is equal to sigma k is equal to 1 to n Ck S minus Pk. H of Z is equal to, this is the analog transfer function. This is the digital transfer function. H of Z is equal to sigma k is equal to 1 to n Ck by 1 minus e raised to Pkt Z raised to minus 1. So, only this denominator term differs. Okay, S minus Pk is mapped to 1 minus e raised to Pkt Z inverse. Okay. For higher sampling rate, we will be modifying this equation and writing it as sigma k is equal to 1 to n t ck by 1 minus e raised to pkt z inverse. This is the equation for digital filter transfer function in the z plane. Okay.